Once upon a time lived a cheeky parrot named Kiki. Kiki wasn't just any parrot. He had a knack for getting into and out of trouble. He loved shiny things, sweet things, and most of all, he loved a good prank. One sunny morning, Kiki spotted the most magnificent coconut tree he'd ever seen, heavy with ripe brown coconuts. It was a coconut lover's dream, and Kiki, well, he considered himself quite the coconut connoisseur. Kiki knew that reaching the juicy coconuts high up in the tree was a challenge, so he hatched a plan. He spied a friendly monkey swinging through the branches, happily munching on a banana. "Hey, Mr. Monkey," Kiki squawked. "That banana looks delicious, but I bet those coconuts up there are even tastier. Could you maybe, get me one?" The monkey, a kind soul named Miko, chuckled. "You think I'm your personal coconut fetching service, little parrot?" he asked playfully. But seeing Kiki's determined glint and the way his bright green feathers shimmered in the sun, Miko couldn't resist. He effortlessly swung to a ripe coconut, plucked it, and tossed it down to Kiki. Kiki, delighted, caught the coconut, but as he tried to crack it open with his beak, he realized it was much harder than he expected. He pecked and pecked, but the coconut remained stubbornly intact. Suddenly, he had a brilliant and messy idea. He'd use Miko's help again. He flew back up to Miko and squawked, "Mr. Monkey, this coconut is too hard. Could you maybe, crack it for me?" Miko, already amused by Kiki's antics, obliged. He effortlessly cracked the coconut open, revealing the sweet, creamy flesh inside. Kiki gobbled it up in seconds, leaving Miko with just a few scraps. "Thank you, Mr. Monkey," Kiki chirped, his beak smeared with coconut cream. He then added with a mischievous twinkle in his eye, "That was the best coconut I've ever had. Maybe we can do this again tomorrow, with more coconuts." Miko shook his head, smiling. He knew Kiki would be back with another playful scheme, and though he might get a little annoyed by Kiki's mischievous ways, he also secretly loved the cheerful parrot's company and his crazy adventures. After all, what's life without a little bit of coconut-fueled fun? And so, the friendship between the cheeky parrot and the helpful monkey continued, filled with laughter, more coconuts, and many more wonderfully sticky situations. The story serves as a playful reminder that even with a little bit of mischief, friendship can blossom and sweeten even the most challenging situations. Once upon a time, high in the misty mountains of Papua, lived a bird of paradise named Chico. Chico wasn't just any bird. His feathers shimmered with every color imaginable, a rainbow explosion on wings. But Chico had a problem. He was incredibly picky. He only ate the juiciest, sweetest, most perfectly ripe mangoes. Finding these mangoes, however, was a huge challenge, especially during the dry season. One day, while searching for his favorite mango, Chico stumbled upon a hidden valley. Sunlight dappled through the leaves, illuminating a tiny, glowing apple. It wasn't a regular apple. This one was bright purple, speckled with gold, and it hummed with a gentle, magical buzz. Curiosity tugged at Chico's colorful heart. He'd never seen anything like it. Hesitantly, he pecked at the apple. The taste was unexpected. It wasn't sweet like a mango, but it was bursting with flavor, a mix of sunshine, berries, and a hint of cinnamon. The most amazing thing? After eating just a tiny bite, Zico felt a surge of energy. He could fly higher and further than ever before. He could even see mangoes miles away, hidden beneath the thickest leaves. Overjoyed, Chico flew back to his friends, the other birds of paradise. They were amazed by his newfound speed and the stories of the magical purple apple. At first, they were skeptical. "A talking apple? Nonsense," chirped one. But Zico insisted, and, finally, they followed him back to the hidden valley. To their delight, the magical apple tree was overflowing with these amazing purple apples. Each bird took a bite, and just like Zico, they felt a surge of energy. They could now find the juiciest mangoes easily, no longer facing hunger during the dry season. The valley became their secret treasure, a place of abundant food and joyful flight. From that day on, Zico and his friends always shared the magical purple apples, proving that sometimes the most unexpected discoveries bring the sweetest rewards. And they learned that even the pickiest bird can find happiness by trying something new, even if it's a little bit magical. So, if you ever see a bird of paradise with a purple apple, you'll know the secret of the hidden valley and the magic of friendship and adventure. Once upon a time, in a lush green field bursting with plump, juicy rice, lived a cheeky little sparrow named Pip. Pip wasn't your average sparrow. Oh no. Pip was a mischievous fluffball with a penchant for trouble and a giggle that could rival 1,000 chirping crickets. He loved the rice paddy more than anything. It was his playground, his buffet, and his personal adventure zone. Pip's favorite game was hide and seek among the rice. He'd flit between the stalks, his tiny body disappearing and reappearing with surprising speed. The rice plants, heavy with ripe grains, swayed gently in the breeze, whispering secrets to Pip as he zipped past. Sometimes he'd even pluck a juicy grain, his tiny beak working furiously before swallowing it with a satisfied chirp. One sunny afternoon, Pip discovered something amazing. A whole family of plump, juicy rice grains had fallen to the ground. It was a little rice grain paradise, a feast fit for a king or a very cheeky sparrow. He started gobbling them up, his little tummy growing rounder and rounder. Suddenly, he heard a giggle. Peeking through the stalks, he saw a group of other sparrows, their beaks full of rice, watching him with amused expressions. "Look at Pip, stuffing his face," one chirped. Another added, "He's going to burst." Pip, usually so confident, felt a blush creep up his feathery cheeks. He quickly hid behind a particularly large rice plant, giggling along with the others. It wasn't so bad being teased, especially when there were so many delicious rice grains to share. He hopped out, offering a grain to each of his friends. The sparrows shared a merry feast, their laughter echoing through the rice paddy. They spent the rest of the afternoon playing games, sharing stories, and enjoying the bounty of the field. Pip realized that sharing the fun and the food was even more enjoyable than hoarding it all for himself. From that day on, Pip still played his hide-and-seek game, but he also made sure to share his discoveries with his friends. The rice paddy continued to be his favorite place, not just for the delicious grains, but for the laughter and friendship that grew alongside them. And every time he saw a fallen grain, he remembered the day he learned that sharing the joy makes everything even tastier. The giggle-inducing rice paddy remained their happy place, a testament to their playful friendship. Once upon a time, in a sun-baked desert, lived a very grumpy ostrich named Ollie. Ollie wasn't grumpy all the time, but the desert's relentless heat and lack of shade made him pretty prickly himself, much like his best friend, a very tall and spiky cactus named Cactus Carl. Ollie loved to run. His long legs were built for speed, and he'd zoom across the sandy plains, kicking up clouds of dust. But the midday sun was fierce, and even Ollie, with his amazing stamina, needed a break. This is where Carl came in. Carl, with his many arms reaching towards the sky, offered Ollie the perfect shady spot. His prickly needles might seem unfriendly, but they provided much-needed relief from the blazing sun. One day, a little desert tortoise named Tilly stumbled upon Ollie and Carl. Tilly was lost and terribly thirsty. Ollie, usually grumpy, felt a pang of sympathy for the little tortoise. "Don't worry, Tilly," he boomed, his voice surprisingly gentle. "Cactus Carl here can help." Carl, who was surprisingly generous despite his prickly exterior, had stored precious rainwater in his thick stem. He carefully tilted one of his arms, and a few drops of refreshing water dripped out, giving Tilly a much-needed drink. Tilly, overjoyed, thanked Ollie and Carl profusely. She realized that even though Ollie looked grumpy and Carl looked prickly, they were actually very kind and helpful. This made Ollie feel good. He realized that helping others made him feel less grumpy, even in the hot desert sun. From that day on, Ollie, Carl, and Tilly became the best of friends. They learned that appearances can be deceiving. Ollie learned that kindness was more refreshing than shade, and Carl learned that even a prickly cactus could have a soft spot. Tilly learned that even the grumpiest ostrich and the spikiest cactus could be the kindest friends. Their friendship blossomed, showing everyone in the desert that even the most unlikely creatures can find joy and companionship, proving that even a grumpy ostrich and a prickly cactus can make a wonderful team, a prickly yet wonderfully friendly team. And that's a lesson worth remembering, no matter how hot the sun gets. Coco the cockatoo was a very picky eater. He loved shiny things, silly dances, and most of all, sleeping in the sun. He wasn't a fan of fruits, vegetables, or anything remotely healthy. His favorite snack was, well, nothing. He'd rather nap than nibble. This made his best friend, Kiki, the monkey, very concerned. Kiki loved mangoes, juicy, sweet, sunshine yellow mangoes. One day, Kiki swung into Coco's favorite sunbathing spot, carrying a basket overflowing with the most incredible mangoes Coco had ever seen. These weren't just any mangoes. These were magical mangoes. They shimmered with a golden light, and Kiki whispered that a single bite could grant a wish. Coco, despite his usual disinterest, was intrigued. The shiny mangoes looked just as fascinating as his favorite trinkets. Kiki explained that the mangoes grew in a secret grove, guarded by a grumpy old toucan named Tito. Tito only allowed entry to those who could answer his riddles. Kiki, clever as he was, had already solved Tito's riddles and secured the mangoes. "But," Kiki said, a mischievous twinkle in his eye, "I have so many mangoes, I can't possibly eat them all. Want to share?" Coco, tempted by the magic and the sheer shininess of the mangoes, hesitantly agreed. He'd never even tried a mango before. They both took a bite. The taste was unbelievably delicious. It was sweet and tangy, bursting with sunshine flavor. Coco's eyes widened. He'd never tasted anything so wonderful. Coco, remembering the magical aspect, closed his eyes and made a wish. He didn't wish for more shiny trinkets or longer naps. He wished for a lifetime supply of delicious, magical mangoes. And guess what? His wish, fueled by the amazing taste of the fruit, came true. From that day on, Coco still enjoyed his naps and shiny things, but he developed a new and passionate love for mangoes. He and Kiki spent their days sharing the magical mangoes, laughing and swinging through the trees. Coco learned that even picky eaters can discover wonderful new things, especially if they're as delicious and magical as those sun-kissed mangoes. The moral of the story? Sometimes the best things in life are worth trying, even if you're a bit hesitant at first. Once upon a time, in a land filled with sunshine and sweet-smelling flowers, lived a little dove named Pip. Pip wasn't just any dove. He was a clumsy, cheerful little bird with a heart full of good intentions, but feet that often tripped him up. He loved nothing more than delivering messages, even if he sometimes got them a little mixed up. One day, Pip was given a very important task. He had to deliver a tiny, fragrant jasmine flower to Princess Lily. The flower, a symbol of friendship, was meant to be a peace offering between the princess and a grumpy old badger named Barnaby. Barnaby, you see, had accidentally squashed Princess Lily's favorite sunflower, and the princess was quite upset. Pip, puffed up with importance, accepted the mission. He carefully held the jasmine flower in his beak, his little wings fluttering with excitement. He zoomed through the air, dodging playful butterflies and singing to the sun. But, as usual, Pip's clumsiness got the better of him. He bumped into a branch, and the delicate jasmine flower tumbled to the ground. Oh no! Pip panicked. He frantically searched for the flower, finding it bruised and slightly wilted. He knew Princess Lily wouldn't appreciate a damaged flower. So, what did Pip do? He decided to improvise. He found a bright red poppy, much larger and bolder than the jasmine, and carefully tucked it into his beak instead. When Pip arrived at the princess's castle, he presented the poppy with a flourish. Princess Lily, however, looked confused. "A poppy?" she said. "I was expecting a jasmine, a symbol of friendship." Pip, feeling his cheeks turn redder than the poppy itself, explained his mishap. He told her about the branch, the fall, and his attempt to make things right. Princess Lily giggled. She understood Pip's good intentions. She even admitted that the bright red poppy was rather cheerful and made her smile. Meanwhile, Barnaby, hearing the story, felt a pang of guilt and remorse. He approached the princess, apologized for squashing her sunflower, and even offered to plant a whole field of sunflowers for her. The poppy, though not the intended message, had paved the way for a happy resolution. Pip learned a valuable lesson that day. While it's important to deliver messages accurately, good intentions and a willingness to make amends can often solve even the biggest misunderstandings. And Princess Lily learned that sometimes the most unexpected things can bring unexpected joy. Just like Pip's clumsy delivery of a bright red poppy. From then on, Pip was known not just for his clumsy deliveries, but for his big, kind heart, a quality far more valuable than perfect accuracy.